It's back and bigger than ever. It's the Unofficial 40 from Soonerscoop.com. Presented by the Choctaw Casino and Resort in Durant. Now, here's the entire Sooner Scoop crew. Carey, Josh, Eddie, and Bob.
Wow, that was a weird intro. Not used to that one. Welcome back. It is the Unofficial 40. We kind of lied. It's like we stuck a cucumber down our pants. It's not a very big podcast because Josh is not here. And Bob, we let him go right because we just finished off with the multi-quarterback press conference today. Jalen Hurts, Tanner Mordecai, and Tanner Schafer met with the media. So you got me and Edward R. Dosovich with you today. And Eddie? It's kind of like we're spending quality time together.
Yeah, today. I know. I'm going to go out on a limb, too, and say that I'm predicting that Jalen Hurts will be the starting quarterback at Oklahoma in 2019.
Really?
That's just what I got out of it.
I wouldn't say based off a press conference.
Not based off the press conference, but just based off the questions that led into the press conference. But
it really was.
It was good to meet him.
It really was kind of
he's been on campus for what, 2 months now?
Yeah.
First time we were able to talk to him, so it was good.
I'm going to tell you right now, not going to be a lot of clamoring to talk to him.
Even more after this? Yeah, not the best quote in the world.
He's very Alabama when it comes to interviewing. Like Nick Saban, you've been around Nick Saban. Like Nick Saban is not as dry and mean as you think he is.
No.
In a press conference setting. I'm not saying that Jalen Hurts was mean, but he's very dry. He's from the school of Alabama where we don't want you to say anything. It essentially came down to being asked questions that just had a canned response no matter what the question was.
Yeah, there's some questions that just couldn't have been answered, like compare the locker rooms. What's he going to say? Oh, I like the Alabama locker room better. They've played in a national championship. These losers haven't.
That is something that people have kept asking me, like, well, you ask him about how the OU defense stacks up against the Alabama defense.
Well,
like,
how do you think it stacks up? Did you watch the football season?
Don't we know how they stack up? That it's that old adage: if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything. He's not going to answer that question truthfully.
It's just not going to happen.
No.
Okay.
And what he is going to say would just be condescending toward his own players. If he were going to say something nice,
there's nothing that he could say that you can't win either way because you're either going to hear from your old teammates that I'm sure he's still pretty tight with,
yeah, or
his new teammates that he's probably still trying to, in a way, earn their respect, I guess.
But what's the responsibility there? Because a lot of people want you to ask that question when you know that you're not going to get an answer. And like Jake Trotter took a stab at it today. And he tried to get the OU versus Alabama comparisons.
Jalen, how would you compare the culture in the locker room between Alabama and Oklahoma so far?
It's always different, you know what I mean? Nothing's ever the same, right? So it's not about, the past. It's not about this or that. It's about what are we going to do with the time we have together as a team? What are we going to do to achieve the things that we want to achieve?
He deflected, which, what are you going to say? You're right. He's going to piss off all his friends at Alabama that he spent a lot of time chasing championships, developed really strong, deep bonds with. If he says anything bad about their locker room.
I would say everything that he said today was just very calculated. He wasn't into giving, I guess, what you would want.
Here's what everybody wanted.
Everybody wants him to talk shit on everybody.
No. I don't think that's what anybody wanted. What people wanted today was, and it was kind of insulting to him, I guess, is what I learned coming out of it. They wanted him to say, I came to Oklahoma because the offense is so much better than what it was at Alabama. It's more innovative, and I want to prove that I can be a quarterback that can play in this type of system. Like, that's what everybody wanted to hear.
Yeah.
He was not giving that.
And in a way, I think that it's kind of like the Russell Westbrook thing. Everybody wants to, this might be a bad analogy, but everybody wants him to come out after the game and be pissed off and, because they're playing shitty right now.
Yeah.
But he's just not going to give that to you. He's not going to give in to the idea that he came to Oklahoma because Lincoln Riley
because
and
their
because the
offense
offense
is so much better than Alabama.
when in reality, that's the reason he's here.
Yes.
Like everybody knows that.
Yes.
But I think from
He's
a
here
competitive standpoint,
he was not going to have an NFL future at quarterback if he had stayed at Alabama.
well, he wasn't going to play.
And maybe if he'd gone to Maryland or Miami, maybe he had a better chance at Miami. But at Oklahoma, he can know once and for all, am I an NFL quarterback?
Sure.
If I go play in that system for that coach with that talent, I'm either going to do it or I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, this is basically his contract year.
There, we just had the Jalen Hurts press conference.
That's
It wrapped up in one.
That's the Jalen Hurts synopsis
That's
of what he's
all
doing
that
going
needed
into
to happen
2019.
today. Yes.
He's a big guy, though.
He
He's
is.
a big old kid.
I said he's got a Russell Westbrook body. He's not as tall, but he's got that barrel chest and the booty.
I didn't notice that as much. Noticed he was wearing a wife beater underneath. I don't know if that means
It might
anything.
be a channel view thing.
Maybe.
He did talk. The most that he talked today was about his high school days at Channelview playing North Shore.
Channelview must have beat North Shore his junior year.
I think he must have been like a sophomore because he said he was a holder.
Well, he said he held two. I think
Yeah.
he was a junior that year.
Yeah, we tried to kind of clumsily research that, which it didn't happen. But so here's Jalen Hurts talking, being asked the question about if he has something to prove by coming to Oklahoma.
I don't want to get into comparisons. Baker's Baker, Kyler's Kyler, and I'm me. So I think the objective of all of this is, everybody wants to achieve their goals. Everybody wants to do those things, but right now it's not about me. I'm stepping back from it, and the biggest thing about this thing is achieving what we want as a team, getting what we want accomplished as a team, doing what we want as a team. So I feel like if we can come together and do those things, work hard, build that bond on all phases, the sky's the limit.
Safe to say he is a coach's son. I mean, you've got a
Everything-
lot of the coach talk with everything that he said on Wednesday.
Every question turned around to it's about the team.
Yeah.
I'm stepping back. I'm holding my own press conference, but I'm stepping back from this.
Oh, I think that, kind of looking at all the stuff that he said, he's the perfect embodiment of what Lincoln Riley wanted as far as a leader, as far as a guy that has been around the block before. I mean, he's definitely a guy that I think Spencer Rattler and Tanner Mordecai, and I guess throw Tanner Schafer in there as well, guy that they're going to be able to learn from, don't you think?
For leadership skills, absolutely.
Yeah.
How to carry yourself, how to be a pro, absolutely. Sure. And he kind of mixed in some Alabama stuff, like I think he mentioned the process at one point today. Here, and I think a lot of people...
Where to park a Dodge Charger on campus.
I think a lot of people were really... They wanted to know, like, okay, tell us about, kind of how this went down. Like, okay, when did you know... And I don't know, when did you know that you were going to come to OU? Which we know he went to Maryland, he came to Norman, then he went to Miami, and then he chose Oklahoma. But I think everybody just kind of wanted, they wanted to write the story about he and Lincoln Riley and the recruiting aspect of it and when he really knew and all this stuff. And it never was anything that he would deliver today. Like, here's another example.
It's been a lot to it. I think the most important thing is that I'm here now, and we're working, and we're taking those steps to be the team we want to be. So
I'm not giving you your answers.
Listen, we're not talking about it. That's basically what he said. It was
no, we just want some color, to tell the folks out there what it was like, how you made that decision.
I wonder how much coaching they gave him.
I don't think they need to give him much. He's been overcoached. I think they need to coach him now. Like, hey, it's okay to be a human being. You're in a safe space now. Nick is gone.
He's not gonna hurt. The bad man's not gonna hurt you anymore.
Show us near the microphone where the bad man touched you.
It was interesting. It was interesting. I don't think that it was. I mean, he clearly has been in front of a microphone before, though.
Oh, sure.
It wasn't a. I don't want people to sit there and think that we're just dogging on the guy. It wasn't a just terrible presentation. It was just.
He was closed. He was closed off.
He was pretty closed off.
He wasn't giving any for. Here is
maybe he wants to win the job first before he. Opens up.
Here he is talking about Riley's recruitment of him.
Every school has their way of selling stuff. You know, everybody takes different angles. Everybody takes a different approach. But, you know, Coach Riley's been very upfront and honest with everything. And ultimately, you know, we got to go to work. You know, we got to work. And definitely no handouts anywhere. So, you know, just really us being on the same page on those things and really, you know, trying to push the envelope on getting things done. You know, moving with urgency.
So yeah, he's not telling you anything about how Lincoln recruited him.
I mean, we all know the pitch, right? I just put 2 Heisman Trophy winners. We want to win a national championship. Come be a part of it.
We just won back-to-back Heisman. I just put back-to-back people in a Heisman Trophy.
Come be a part of this.
They're going to have a statue on this campus.
It's not a damn like secret what they were selling them on.
Well, why not just say?
I don't know. That's interesting.
The success here, you know, like
I'm trying to say other things more than interesting too. By the way, I don't want. It's catching a lot of shit about that.
On the wrong foot here.
No,
You don't want to be.
Oh no, I don't care what Jalen Hurts thinks of me. I'm talking about the subscribers.
You don't want to be the guy
talking shit on the board.
You don't want to be the guy that got up and left right after Jalen Hurts' press conference was over, and then have Tanner Mordecai win the job.
That wouldn't be bad. It'd be kind of funny. It'd be.
I got in trouble. I made a joke about that.
You didn't?
Well, Jenny Carlson and Jake Trotter both got up.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, and left.
ESPN doesn't care about kids from
I
Waco?
about it. No, they don't.
Does that mean
the Mordecai family should boycott ESPN?
I agree, and
Jenny actually got it for a good reason. She was in the transcription pool that we have, so she was getting started on her transcription.
ESPN stands with David Koresh. That's all I got out of that.
I don't think that's who they stand with.
That's all I got out of that.
Hard to stand with a man who's
dead,
no longer with us.
Well,
or do you?
I don't know. I don't know how that works.
Do you? You wonder if that's even true. Did he escape?
Maybe
the government's hiding him.
Yeah, that could be a possibility. I don't.
He's helping with anti-terrorist cells.
Possibly
in the Middle East.
Possibly working with. We're working against ISIS. Maybe that's why they never wanted the name of the shooter of Bin Laden to be released, because it was David Koresh.
Oh, wow.
How about that?
You just came up with a massive conspiracy.
How about that?
Okay, so moving on. Let's kind of get through Jalen Hurts. I mean,
if there's anything that I took out of today, it's that he knows CeeDee Lamb is going to be his guy. How about that?
Right here.
Well, man, I was a freshman at Alabama, and I wanted CD to come to Alabama, you know, so it's not like I didn't know who he was or what he was capable of, but the tables have turned, and I'm here, and I guess you can say we kind of reunited, so just trying to maximize this moment this year, you know, everything about it, trying to maximize it.
And you did notice CeeDee Lamb did not go on spring break to a football field with Tanner Mordecai.
I wondered about that. Like I was wondering if somebody was going to ask Tanner Mordecai about that. Like if you're, I don't know, like on pod. I don't know where he went, but if you're like sitting on the beach,
it entered my head. I thought about
sitting on the beach on Padre. And it's like, well, God damn, they didn't tell me they were doing this. Like I've been out here hanging out with a bunch of buddies, and they're out there getting better in Channelview or Clearwater, wherever they were.
You guys screwed me out of a chance to get better today. Why didn't you tell me?
I mean, I think
that's very awkward between CD and Tanner at practice yesterday.
You know what's going to be more awkward is the next, I don't know, like 4 months when they act like this is some kind of tight race, and they're going to go through the same thing that they did last year as far as Austin Kendall and the comparisons to Tanner Mordecai and Jalen Hurts and Kyler Murray. And I feel like it's just going to be very awkward that everybody's going to be like, oh, yeah. Oh, the quarterback race.
Well, yeah.
And kind of roll your eyes at it.
But Lincoln has to play it out because he doesn't want Tanner Mordecai transferring.
Sure.
As soon as spring's over.
No, it makes sense. I understand that. That has to be the toughest balancing act that Lincoln Riley does all year. Or the toughest part of his job is acting like, oh, yeah, this is a race. Because they're not going to.
We did it with Kendall and
they're not benching
Kyler.
Jalen Hurts. They're not benching him, right? There's no way that Tanner Mordecai is the starter against Houston. No way. And I'm not trying to bash Tanner Mordecai because I'm one of his biggest supporters as far as I think he can be a really good quarterback. It's just it's a different situation at Oklahoma right now as far as the quarterback room, as far as guys like Tanner Mordecai and Schafer and Austin Kendall even. They could all three write books with what they've been through as far as what they've seen in that Oklahoma quarterback room in the last 2 years or last 3 years in Norman.
Here is, you mentioned it, Tanner Mordecai, kind of how he is just handling this. And I asked him this question, just saying, hey, everybody, I didn't really say it this way, but phrased it in a way like everybody just assumes Jalen Hurts is a guy and go. Is there... Well, for you, everybody's focusing on Jalen, his history and that, he's played, in big games and things. But is there anything you kind of take out of, like, seeing a guy like Baker play here that people, looked at him as an underdog? I mean, do you feel like you have some of that same kind of attitude when you're out there on the field?
Yeah, I think so. Like you said, whenever he came, I don't think anybody expected him to do anything. Trevor Knight just came off a pretty good year, and he won the job. So, yeah, I for sure have thought about that. Obviously, Jalen's done a lot of great things at Alabama, and people also believe like he's a great quarterback as he is. But like I'm trying to put my best foot forward as well and just compete every day in spring.
Here's the thing, too, though. Like, there's some wiggle room there. I mean, we're talking about how it's a certainty, and it's yes. I mean, it pretty much is. You bring a guy in like that. I'll say this: the best case scenario for Tanner Mordecai is that he feels like he should be the starter coming out of fall camp. Lincoln has to make Jalen Hurts the starter, knowing maybe he's not the best, and then he struggles. And Tanner Mordecai ends up winning the job during the season.
That'd be incredible. That'd be an incredible turn of events. You know why?
I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility.
Well, but here's the deal.
Jalen Hurts wouldn't beat out Baker Mayfield. He wouldn't beat out Kyler Murray. He didn't beat out Tua Tagovailoa.
Right. But where does Spencer Rattler fit into all this?
Oh, he's
You think?
No, I don't know.
I mean, I don't think that he'd come in and automatically be the backup in a month, but
I mean, Trevor Knight's a good example of a guy that won a job.
I think from a skill set
and then lost a job.
Rattler's better than all those guys, though.
But what I'm saying is it's not unprecedented.
Well, not Murray or Mayfield, obviously.
Yeah,
but
it's not unprecedented for a quarterback to win a job and then lose it eventually.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we've seen it. Basically, we've seen that
Hasn't
around here.
happened to Lincoln Riley, but...
No, but we saw it with Trevor Knight.
Yeah.
I don't think any of these guys are Trevor Knight, though. I think these guys are better. Right? I mean, I guess we don't know that about... Jalen Hurts is a better quarterback than Trevor Knight, right? He has a better...
He's a better athlete.
He's a better athlete, but he's... Just based on resume, right now, he's a better quarterback.
Here's the thing. Jalen Hurts...
They're 25-2 in the SEC at Alabama.
But the quarterback in this offense, at Alabama, they played it safe.
Yeah. And
like
is there like a...
They designed an offense around a guy to limit the number of mistakes because their defense was so good that they didn't want to turn the ball over. At Oklahoma, he's going to wing it. He's going to put the ball up a lot. And he's going to have more opportunities to make plays, but he's also going to have more opportunities than he's ever had to make mistakes. And that was Trevor Knight's downfall. It wasn't that he was a horrible quarterback. It was that he made some awful mistakes.
Yeah. I wish there was like a, and I'm by no means am I somebody that claims to be a advanced statistic analytics guy that like trust everything that you throw into the computer, but I wish there was a way that you could find like a war for Jalen Hurts and how much that defense won games as opposed to how many games like he won for Alabama. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like his wins over replacement, basically.
Yeah, like it'd have to be some kind of a turnover analysis,
Because I would imagine there's a lot of games. There's a lot of games that Blake Barnett probably could have started for Alabama,
and they still
win the game.
I mean, what's his name? Jake Coker took him to a national championship.
Yeah, sure, same thing.
I mean, Jalen Hurts is a better quarterback than Jake Coker.
Right. I don't think there's any doubt about that. But I thought what you asked maybe Mordecai about was kind of interesting, just as far as like in Lincoln Riley's offense, are you more of a playmaker or are you more of like a
distributor?
A guy that just puts the ball out there and then you let all these other guys do the work.
Here's that question.
And they have plenty of those guys on that campus right now.
Here's that question.
Yeah, I think it goes both ways. I mean, they have to do their job, not to do mine, and that comes with practice and throwing routes on air, and in the winter, whenever it's just offensive guys throwing routes in the indoor. I think that all kind of plays a part, and we got to get used to each other and have chemistry and for it all to work.
Did you, with like Grant and CD and guys that have been around, you feel like you've developed a little bit of that with them?
For sure, yeah. Like I said, in the winter, 7-on-7 routes on air, and then leading up to spring, it's been a lot of reps and a lot of throws, so for sure getting better.
That was his opportunity to say, well, yeah, when they don't sneak off on spring break and don't tell me about it.
That would have been awesome if he would have said something about that. Because that was my first thought when I saw that video released last week, was just like, it's kind of weird. I wonder where they're at. Wonder how that worked out. But they're also, at the same time, I could see it being a situation that they're both Houston kids, so I could see them just, hey, are you in town? Let's get together. Type
and
thing.
like and like Hurts said, he's known him since he was a freshman at Alabama.
Yeah.
So and I'm sure seeing him ball out against Alabama, was it Patrick Surtain who he just destroyed in that game?
Well, what's even more interesting is, I wonder how, and I don't think CD would ever say it, and I don't know if he's ever said anything about it, but I wonder how much he played in a part of the pitch that Lincoln Riley gave Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because you remember there were, I don't know if it was CD that put him out there, but the very first video of Hurts that came out there on social media was in the new indoor in the Switzer Center.
Yeah, throwing
fades
to
throwing deep balls.
Some of the best takes on the internet came after that video. Can't throw a fade ball. He's throwing it to where
he was throwing back.
Hurts can't.
He's throwing back.
He's throwing to where Hurts can't get or CD can't catch it.
Oh God, they were back shoulders, is what they
were.
All
right, Jim. Whatever. Go back to Facebook.
So yeah, I mean, there's a relationship there. It is obviously with him going out in spring break. I mean, look, there's still a lot to be decided here. There's still a lot of and when they go out to scrimmage, that's really when you're going to find things out. And I mean, the other thing that was kind of asked about today, just getting off the Jalen Hurts thing for a second, was it was kind of our chance to talk to the quarterbacks. And I don't know, like Jalen didn't really give an answer about it. It was our first chance to really ask them, hey, what do you think of all these 5 stars that have come in here? And Tanner Mordecai was asked that.
They're special, yeah. They're really good dudes. I mean, they can play. I mean, that's why they're ranked so high, and that's why they're here. And, they enrolled early. They gave up that last semester of high school, and they're balling out there, and they're working really hard. So we're glad to have those guys for sure.
Tanner, I know you come to Oklahoma, you expect to play with some special players, but watching CeeDee Lamb, I mean, you knew he was a good player when you signed here, but just seeing his development over the last year, is he just one of those guys you look at and you're like, I kind of thought people like that existed, but I wasn't sure?
Yeah, he's no doubt. He's a freak, yeah. Incredible athlete, really good receiver. I mean, he goes getting the ball better than anybody else, and I mean, he's a stud.
Do you think people realize how big of a freak CeeDee Lamb is? You think OU fans appreciate just how ridiculous he is?
Well, if you don't, you need to turn on that Alabama tape again, because he tore up a cornerback in a secondary that, I don't know, I mean, pretty damn good, right?
Very good, yeah.
I mean, Clemson kind of tore him up the next week, but
I mean,
still.
yeah, this is not the secondary that Alabama's going to hang up on the wall and say, "Oh, this was."
I'll put it this way:
was our best.
I would be blown away, shocked, and this is coming on March 27th, if CeeDee Lamb isn't a finalist for the Blitnikoff this year.
I'll go one further. I'll be surprised.
You can win it?
No, I'll be surprised if he's not the first wide receiver taken in the draft next year.
Yeah. And I think that tells you everything you need to know, is that it's a foregone conclusion next year's CeeDee Lamb's last year.
Yeah, there's
in
no
Norman.
doubt.
I think that probably says everything.
CeeDee hasn't come out and said it, but everyone that knows him kind of says the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be incredible.
Enjoy watching him.
Yeah.
It's your last.
Enjoy it. He is, and physically, I think that he's a different player right now than he was probably in November or December last year.
By the way, I have the window open because I'm keeping an eye out for the UPS man. This kid keeps skating back and forth down my sidewalk.
Tell him Santa Claus doesn't visit the funeral home, little buddy.
I'm just waiting for Eddie to pull like a big daddy and go out there and throw a stick in front of him and make him trip.
Let's see how good he is on that BMX. He want to be the next Matt Hoffman or not?
He's skating on roller skates.
Oh, he's roller skating? He was on a bike a minute ago.
No, he's on skate. See, there he is. He's on skates.
Oh.
Maybe there's a biker out there too.
He's the next...
it's the summer. There's a lot of kids in my neighborhood right now.
Spring. He's the next Adam Banks, maybe.
Yeah. Who was Adam Banks?
On D2, Mighty Ducks.
Oh, okay.
Been a while since I've rollerbladed. I was the king of rollerblades, though, for a while.
I could see little
school.
Eddie rollerblading.
We had some awesome street hockey games.
Yeah, because Sam was like a big hockey guy, wasn't he?
Well, I didn't know him in elementary school,
Okay.
but like middle school, elementary school, for sure.
Didn't Sammy B play like ice hockey, like traveled and stuff during the summers?
Yeah, he was going to move up to like Canada to play in the junior IHL or whatever. But then I think reality hit, and he's like, well, I mean, these Canadian kids grow up on this shit.
Yeah, they're a different level.
Competing against Sidney Crosby and those guys.
That would have been a great story, though.
If he would have been a hockey player,
I mean,
the first Native American hockey player.
Has there ever been, like a kid from the South that moved north to play hockey?
Oh, yeah.
And made it in the NHL?
There's kids all over, like Dallas, and there's a
Really?
couple kids from Oklahoma City that I don't know if they've made it to the NHL, but there's a kid that plays. He was from Edmond, and he moved up there. I want to say he played for like the Edmonton Oilers. Is that right?
I
Are they the
remember
Oilers?
that story. I remember that story.
Are
Yeah,
they the
kid from
Oilers?
Oklahoma City. Yeah, he got drafted.
Yeah, and he got drafted, and I don't know where he is now. I mean, he might still be bouncing around in the IHL or something.
Yeah, I remember. I know like
There's
the
a ton
Stars.
there's a ton of kids that play for that Dallas Stars
yeah,
team.
the Stars
that
have that ice center in Frisco.
Yeah.
It's just big time.
Hockey's I guess, kind of a big deal. I don't know if it still is or not. Can't tell you.
I don't
really
want
follow hockey.
I don't really want a hockey team though back in Oklahoma City.
If the Thunder keep playing like this, I'll welcome an NHL team anytime. I don't even know if there's audio still around it, or still from it, but one of my worst broadcasting moments was having to do a Oklahoma
An
club
OU
hockey junior, on the radio for the like OU The Wire.
Uh-huh. Remember The Wire back in the
It was
days?
like the third hockey game I'd ever watched. I had no idea what was going on.
I had to do a women's high school basketball game one time. Just
Well, at least that's
I
like
didn't want to
slow
do it.
moving, and
somebody asked me,
Susie goes up for a layup. She missed.
and I was young and I wasn't making very much money, and someone asked me to come keep the stats for the Oklahoma Jim Thorpe All-Star High School game. No one's stats were right. It's the first time I ever did it. Like the quarterback MVP, I think he was the MVP because I totally screwed up his stats and gave him way more passing yardage than he had.
He's probably still wondering like he didn't get a scholarship after just an incredible Jim Thorpe performance.
Yeah, what about my Jim Thorpe performance?
Nobody really watched, bud.
Well, you know who we did talk to today? Would you say would you think we'll ever talk to him again?
Probably not unless he drops a snap. Isn't he going to be the holder this year?
Is he?
I think,
Gotta
McGinnis,
replace
didn't McGinnis?
Connor? Yeah.
He graduated, right?
Yeah.
Unless he like drops a hold.
We need to go into that with Lincoln on tomorrow. We need to talk about Gabe Burkich and the holder situation because that's a big turnover that nobody's really brought up so far.
Oh, I mean, as much as people like to bag on Seibert, I think he'll be
Who's
missed.
bagging on Seibert?
Oh, people that just on Twitter and stuff that he missed the only good, he missed all the kicks that were important.
Yeah,
but I mean, whatever. It's gonna be important to. Although, I mean, I don't know if this was well known, but you kind of threw it out there at the end of last season. The Burkett kid was Burkich was on scholarship all year.
I'm glad that you can mispronounce another name, a name that's
that name deserves to be mispronounced. What is it? BKRIC?
I don't think there's any vowels. I think it's BRKC.
What a name.
It's BRKICE.
What a name.
Burkich.
He's supposed to be pretty good though, isn't he?
He's on scholarship.
Yeah.
They like him.
Whatever.
But
Let's wait until he misses a kick against Houston to win the game.
So we did talk to Tanner Schafer. I mean,
who is well known as, I think that, hasn't Riley said that he's kind of like the comedian of the quarterback room? I think that Riley sees a lot of himself in Tanner Schafer.
Yeah, it's like he's too old to be his son. It's like he's his quarterback, I don't know, friend's son. It's kind of like semi-pro.
It's like his quarterback, not Eskimo brother, but what would be a familiar family member of that? It's like a long lost brother that he never had.
I'm going with friend's son from semi-pro.
That's cool.
That's what Jackie Moon's friend's son was. Conan's sidekick.
I think that's fair.
So here is Lincoln Riley's friend's son, Tanner Schafer.
I mean, I guess you could say have a lot in common. He's from a small town. I'm from a small town, and kind of stuff like that. So he can relate to a lot of things. Like whenever I first came in, he was relating a lot to, you played all the sports in high school, this and that, and you didn't ever get to just focus on one, and now's the time to just focus on one thing. So, I mean, I guess I can relate to him a lot, and he helps me through a lot of stuff like that and can talk to me about this or that. So
I just remember at the end of semi-pro, after they'd won the Mega Bowl, and the NBA guy had come and said, "Wow, Jackie, you're a heck of a marketer. How about you come join us in the NBA and be our marketer?" And he started crying, and he said, "Can I bring my friend's son with me?" And then the NBA guy got attacked by Dewey the Bear.
I think I've only seen. I don't think I've seen semi-pro from start to finish.
You need to. You of all people.
I know. I do love me some Will Ferrell.
Wow. I almost did a Baby Shark transition there.
Oh.
I was like do, and then the Baby Shark do like that popped.
You start
in my
singing
head.
that, it's going to get in your head.
So I'll stop it. Okay.
I don't know how you parents do it out there.
Oh, let's move on from all the quarterback stuff today. I think we've covered most of it. What you should know is we got no color at all from Jalen Hurts and his comments today.
Borderline racist.
See, I knew when I said that I needed to.
It was just everybody. I feel like everybody went in, and even I might have told myself this, like going in, like we're gonna have some great storylines coming out of this. There really weren't. I mean, it was good to talk to him for the first time.
It was a much needed.
It was like
day.
an icebreaker almost.
And everybody, because we knew we weren't going to talk to Jalen until after spring break, we all built it up like, oh boy, this is going to be a huge day. And even afterwards, like Bob is not here because he was working on the story for the site that is up now. But like we almost had to it was like a think tank trying to decide what the storyline should be. Because there really wasn't anything that really stood out about his press conference in a sound bite or a cliquish way. It was just so.
It was very upfront. There was nothing.
But now we know Jalen Hurts. He's a guy that's all about the team publicly. He's not going to give you anything flashy. He's just going to go and do his business.
And there's going to be people out there that can be, those Sooner Scoop guys were just shitting all over Jalen Hurts. And it's not really that. It's just there was nothing said.
We'll shit on everyone. Everyone and anyone that's a mediocre interview for us.
Yeah.
Because
I think that's fair.
To be honest, we care more about that than we do wins or losses. Way
that's
more.
Fair.
Way more.
Unless we bet on the games.
Unless they're in one of your parlays.
Yeah.
Okay, so the cool thing that we did do this week so far is we got to talk to Alex Grinch again, which, again, not like he's not. When you see the videos of him running up and down the field, he's not like screaming at the media, but he's at least giving you a little bit of color. He's giving you a little bit of information as he goes along. And here was his update on his defense. This would be 5 practices in now for the Sooners.
But I think we're running. I think the want-to's there. I think the playmaking mindset is not what I think it should be yet. I think we're participating a little bit more than we're playing the game. And some of that, and again, we can make it whatever excuses we want. We're learning, we're teaching. I don't know where to line up, this and that, but it's got to be the forefront of our brains in terms of everything. And I told the guys today, every single snap of football, every play has to be made. Either they make it or I make it. And so I don't know that enough guys are thinking that way, just itching, dying to be a playmaker on this defense. Now, again, to your point, as some guys have shown well that way, they have, but it's probably too up and down.
That was, I guess, only the second time that we've talked to him, right?
Right, yes.
You guys didn't talk to him when I was out of
press
town.
Conference, his initial press conference, we talked to him once since spring has started, and then that was the second time.
Biggest takeaway from Alex Grinch 2 interview sessions, there is a massive mentality shift that he is trying to change right now.
And he's not sugarcoating anything. He's not, which, I don't think Mike Stoops was either, but people were tired of hearing him talk about we don't have depth
it's the
or talent
perfect example
because he was responsible for all that depth and talent.
Yeah, there's a perfect example of new eyeballs, new ideas, and a new mentality on that side of the football.
Yeah.
And it's been much needed.
And they come in
refreshing
here,
in a way.
They come in here without being beaten down.
Yeah. I think that it's one of those things too that, it's funny that everybody last year talked about how the players hated Mike because he was so mean to people.
Yeah.
When in just the little clips that we've seen of Alex Grinch, I don't think he's coming off as he's not giving anybody hugs down there.
No.
But I think
he's intense.
But they believe in him because it's a different voice. It's a different person. They have no reason to not believe this guy right now, I guess would be the best way to say it.
It's just a perfect example of how sometimes you just need change for the sake of change.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And Alex Grinch totally believes that he's going to get them to play well and that his system is going to work. And I think Brian Odom is the same way. I talked to him a little bit yesterday. And it's just a matter of, like you said, changing the mindset. Kind of like this, like Alex Grinch was just talking about, wanting to be a turnover defense, needing to force turnover, seeing some of that. And here was a little bit more, he expounded a little bit more on the defense.
We probably are ahead of where I thought we'd be mentally through when certain plays in practice stick out like a sore thumb. That means you're doing things right. When it's just you walk out the practice field, it's just a laundry list of issues. Well, I mean, okay, I can't circle Deshaun on this one particular play that he's playing slow because he's thinking. So I got to give those guys credit that way. But we also didn't install to be really, really good practice 5 and feel good walking off the field on Tuesday here in whatever month it is, March. I mean, we installed this thing. Like, this is what we need to be able to execute in the fall. So this was not designed to feel good. And so, which there's going to be some very frustrating clips of football, when you're going against an offense as multiple as us, which is absolutely tremendous for us moving forward. But you want to vomit some snaps.
I like that.
It's pretty funny.
He basically said, yeah, this offense is really difficult. Makes me want to puke sometimes.
I thought it was interesting just as far as, you take the mentality thing, you take it a step further. Justin Broyle said that they have, and I guess I didn't really know what he was talking about, but football's in the meeting room that you have to touch for the mentality of, were you standing over there when he was talking about that?
I didn't quite get it.
Like, I'm thinking like a podium with a football on top that you need to slap when you walk by it.
Like you slap it like slaps off the podium?
I don't know. I really don't know. Needless to say, like, Alex Grinch wants those guys thinking about turning the football over
all the time.
23 and a half hours of the day. And when they're not thinking about it, maybe desiring it or fantasizing about it.
And here's another thing that I took out of talking to Alex Grinch yesterday is, like I said, he is not sugarcoating anything. And when it comes to the secondary, like, he was asked about Buki, and he was like, he's up and down. Like, I need him to be better.
Oh, I think it's a very fascinating conversation as far as when you look at what they want in the secondary right now. I mean, am I wrong to say that Alex Grinch probably wouldn't have recruited Buki just because of the sheer ability of his size, right? They haven't offered a guy over 6 foot yet.
Yeah. Under, you mean?
Or under, yeah.
Yeah. Maybe.
I mean, so where does that leave him at the end of things? Because I do think that he can still play football. I think I'm not out on the Buki can't play football train.
God,
I'm not there yet.
That would be the worst Rivals evaluation biggest bust ever, probably.
It would certainly be in there.
And like I said, he doesn't sugarcoat things. Here he is talking about his secondary yesterday.
Boy, we're very, very thin in the secondary, which is alarming. Just from a depth standpoint, we've got some young guys coming in the fall that we're going to have to plug in. And I probably echo that maybe across the board, probably a little bit more thin than we should be at Oklahoma. But that also is a great opportunity for the guys to get reps. And so, the thing I told the guys the other day, I keep giving you guys the inside scoop on our defensive meetings, but the thing I told the guys the other day is don't ever say you never had a chance to play at Oklahoma, because right now, whether you're a walk-on, whether you thought you were just going to get a jersey and a couple square meals on a Friday before a game, I mean, you got a chance to get reps out here, and you better take advantage of it.
By the way, is square meal, is that a prison term? That was brought up to me this morning.
Really?
Yeah. Like you get a square meal in jail.
No, I mean, it's just,
Or is that just an expression?
That's an old expression.
Oh, okay.
I mean, like 3 square meals a day. It is, it's more, I think, Army.
Oh, okay.
But anything regimented is considered like
square meal.
Yeah. If your day is very regimented, it's like get up in the morning, PT.
Very square.
Do PT duty, get a square meal,
I thought it was funny.
Or like if you're a dock worker or something. It's like, come work here, you get 3 squares a day.
That makes sense. It's right what he said though, right? It's correct.
What if it was just prison though? Is that big? Like, is that like a
awesome?
Is that like a strike against?
It'd lead me to it'd lead me to believe that he's listening to the podcast. He wants to send this defense to jail for a week during the summer instead of giving a week with Benny Wiley at Workout Masters. They need to go to prison for a week. Get tough.
Okay, one of the things that I talked to...
Is he right, though? About being thin? I mean, everybody on the board and on Twitter was, I guess, kind of taken aback that he came out and said it, but it's true. I mean, Robert Barnes isn't participating.
Here's the thing.
Turner Yell isn't out there.
He backtracked kind of and said, well, we are lacking size. Like, he's thin in the kind of players, like you said, he's thin in the type of guys that he wants.
Yeah.
And OU got into a real problem, and that they thought it was philosophical with the last staff. Like, that's what was happening. Like, they had Julian Wilson and Jordan Thomas and all these guys, and like they were really long for a while in the secondary, and they were getting beat all the time because guys were getting behind them, and Baylor was embarrassing them, and they were just like, Zach Sanchez came along, and he was smaller, but he had speed, and it's like, we need to get more speed on the field. And so they started kind of just ignoring height and looking more for speed. And part of it was just with the way they were recruiting, they were kind of taking what they could get to.
Yeah.
And guys that did have...
That's what happens when you get beat out by Ohio State and Alabama in schools that they're trying to
And think about it, like
with.
guys that they were signing that had size, like PJ and Banasaur, like...
They weren't any
any good, yeah. I mean,
Exactly.
so it's almost like they got this... this little...
Were they going after the wrong guys, and then once they weren't getting them, they were having to settle for guys that they made bad evaluations on?
Or they were just going after speed from the beginning. It's like they stereotyped tall guys as being slow.
Yeah.
And the tall guys they were getting weren't working out. I mean,
I'm very...
I mean, Dakota Austin, that's how they ended up with Dakota Austin.
Yeah. I'm very interested to see through one recruiting cycle just how much things with under Grinch are going to change. I mean, and everybody talks about Grinch and Manning, and rightfully so. It's going to be fun when we're able to talk to Manning again. But I think the biggest hire is Brian Odom, just as far as what Grinch said about the middle linebacker or the inside linebacker, and basically that being the toughest position to recruit and the toughest position to play on the football field in today's time.
Here's Alex Grinch on that very thing.
And I don't know if it's this defense. I think it's college football. You know, I was talking to Coach Stoops, it may have been yesterday, and I believe this. I think it's the hardest position to play in college football because there's just so much from a coverage aspect, from a run fit standpoint, and when you add the quarterback run aspect and the counter action and bubbles and the drop back. I mean, the run pass conflict that you're in every single snap, which has always been there in football. You know, the old days of the hard play action and linebackers sucking up. Well, now, you know, it's not hard play action. It was a run play that you need to fit, and then all of a sudden there's a pass off it, and the quarterback can keep it. And what about that bubble out there? And so you're defending 3 plays on almost every snap of football. And guess what level of your defense do you need on every single one of those type of plays? And it's linebackers. And so it's a very difficult challenge. And you try to simplify it as best you can. But really, and how you do that as defensive coaches, you say they make it complicated enough offensively, then we got to do the right things from a schematic standpoint to put them in position, play fast, and be able to play downhill.
There's a bike now. Oh, there's 2 bikes now, along with the skater.
If they had some extra skates, I might go out there and cross-check somebody into the grass.
I wonder if my parents have like my old skates still at their house.
I don't know.
I never did rollerblades, though.
You had to have the right asphalt, and it looks like you do as far as what you need, because you can't have the rocks because you can't skate on that.
When you have the rollerblades?
Yeah.
Because they catch your wheels.
Yeah, you catch the wheels and you can't get a good skate.
Sorry, that was a squirrel moment. Squirrel. But, no, I mean, the inside linebacker. Here's what's interesting. Talking to Brian Odom yesterday. Of course, he brought up Kenneth Murray and Caleb Kelly. And by the way, I thought it was interesting that he mentioned those two first when we all have been talking about Deshaun White and what impact he could possibly make. But you know the third linebacker he brought up yesterday? I don't know if you were standing over there.
I wasn't standing over there. Let me guess.
And everyone out there right now is yelling Levi Draper, and it wasn't.
Been on campus?
Yeah.
John Michael Terry?
No. Ooh, I'm curious how...
Frank Shannon?
No. I'm curious how long this will take you.
Nick Benito?
No. You're way cold.
Am I?
Uh-huh.
That's not good. God, there's somebody... Like, I'm trying to think of who it could be now. Oh, no. Is he white?
Maybe.
Caleb Gastelum? Or not Gastelum.
The new Caleb Gastelum, you mean?
Yeah.
Brian Mead.
Brian Mead.
You were almost there.
I couldn't remember his name for a minute. I just remembered he was white. That's very
He raved about
racist
Brian
of me.
Mead yesterday. Just how intelligent he is. Like, and it just goes to show you, like, all coaches kind of, they all do the same thing.
I mean, he's listed at 6'2", 230.
What you have, like all these people that have these conspiracy theories about
that
this guy
people
should
weren't
be playing and
yeah.
he doesn't like him. Like Brian Meade played ahead of Levi Draper and everybody else last year.
Right.
Brian Meade is impressing the coaches more. Like people specifically ask Brian Odom, like, how's Levi Draper doing?
Yeah.
And like he would list about 5 other linebackers and then Levi Draper.
Well, I think that's
But he
going
was
to be
specifically asked about Levi Draper.
That's the one thing that I think, even going into August next year, is people are going to realize is even with these new set of eyes, you can only play the guy. The coaches are going to put the people on the field that they feel like are going to perform the best.
And I understand that there is plenty of room. I'm not trying to get into defending Mike Stoops' hour here or any other coaches. People act like they were such morons that they would play the wrong people. Like these coaches are making the same determinations that those coaches made.
Like he was trying to get fired.
Yeah, well, they're idiots for trying to move Caleb Kelly to will linebacker. Guess where this staff is playing Caleb Kelly? Will linebacker.
Maybe possibly just defensively. I don't know.
It's like you were talking about. It's the mentality.
Yeah.
It's the mindset.
Yeah.
That's what has to change.
They want to change the mindset, and they want to change, and basically they just want to clear everything up, go make plays.
Yeah. Simplify,
make plays,
and create
be fast.
turnovers. And
create
fast.
turnovers.
Exactly.
And basically, isn't that all Oklahoma fans want out of a defense right now? They just want plays to be made. They don't care who does it, how it's done. They just don't want to watch what they've watched for the last, 5 years, 4 years.
I'm going to ask you a question, and this is where camp might get really awkward. Do you think, based on hearing both Alex Grinch and Brian Odom talk yesterday, do you think at some point this spring someone is going to admit that Deshaun White is pushing Kenneth Murray for a starting job?
I don't think they'll say it like that, but I think it'll be a continued, and we haven't even talked to Kenneth Murray yet.
No.
During the spring to talk to him about how he fits in with Brian Odom and Alex Grinch's defense. But
because he's going to do the same thing Jalen Hurts did today.
Sure, about the team. But I do think that it's going to be to the extent of all jobs are open type thing.
Here's Alex Grinch yesterday talking about Deshaun White.
Yeah, Deshaun can run around now. I mean, there's certain guys that you circle from an athletic standpoint that you would recruit each and every year. Give us 10 of them. I think he's still learning the defense. I think he flashes at times, but on both sides of it, from a positive standpoint. And when he's slow, you know what that means because he's not a slow football player. It means he's thinking. And so, some of that comes obviously with the more reps and those things. And he's going to get it because, like I said, we're kind of thin in all areas.
I believe I don't want to misquote, but I don't want to leave this on the table. Brian Odom yesterday said something along the lines of Deshaun White is one of the most instinctual linebackers he's coached.
Just from the limited viewing that I did see him in high school when I went down to North Richland Hills High School, I could see what he's talking about as far as being a guy that he just goes and tackles the football. I mean, the guy was all over the field that night.
I just wonder what
we
that
have
means.
that video up on Scoop. I'll put it up in the podcast if we want.
But outside of that, I mean, it wasn't a really eye-opening day talking to guys on the defense. I mean, I think
it's just fascinating to talk to these guys, and I don't know. Maybe it's just because it's simply we haven't talked to them, and it's something new that we haven't. Because it got predictable there towards the end. I mean, we knew what was going to come out of Mike's mouth. We knew what was going to come out of Tim Kitch's mouth in the very, very limited times that we talked to him. But I think that, just it's what we put up on the board as far as there's a reason why there should be a little bit of excitement. Even listening to Justin Broyles talk about it, you kind of get excited.
Compare right now to all the media sessions we had with Ruffin when Mike was gone. And it was so confusing, and you didn't know exactly if anybody was on the same page.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's no doubt about it that.
I mean, having to
Grinch
has
a vision. He has a focus of what they want to do down there.
I mean, all the Fido
and
stuff.
They might not have the guys that he wants right now, but damn it, they're going to mold it, and it's going to be that system. you better come to play in that system. They're not going to mold the system to you, I guess. Is that the best way to say it?
Yeah, they're not trying to patch a tire.
Right. They'll just go buy a brand new tire.
They'll go buy a brand new car.
Yeah, like if you can't do it, they're going to find somebody that will.
Yeah.
And maybe it does lead to Brian Meade on the field, or maybe that does lead to
Deshaun White over Kenneth Murray.
Yeah, or whatever. I mean, Alex Grinch he's not here to fuck around. I think that's the best way to say it.
One thing that was interesting yesterday is everybody loves this. Oh, the defensive linemen have lost all this weight. It's amazing. Calvin Thibodeau basically, he said, I'm not gonna tell these fairy tale bullshit stories. He's like, guys lost 10 pounds.
With Gallimore, he's lost 5 pounds. But it's part
of the off season.
It is part of it.
When you don't talk to anybody and Instagram is all you get.
I don't know if you were standing over there when he was talking about Gallimore, but I mean, you listen to Thibodeau and you listen to even Alex Grinch talk about him. They need a guy like that to be very good on this defense.
Yeah.
They need him to have a good senior season and be a guy that, let's be honest, I think a guy that everybody kind of expected him to be when he came into Norman. And he hasn't. He hasn't been that guy. He's shown flashes.
He was pretty decent last year.
No, I'm not saying he hasn't been
decent.
good.
He wasn't great.
But they need him to be great if this defense really wants to take a next step and
they need
be
him
a
to
defense
play,
that can compete with Alabama or Clemson or whoever.
They need him to play more. He's really almost kind of been a part-time guy. He's been banged up here and there. They need Dylan Fa'amatu to be healthy. And I think he could be a really good player still. That is the one position I worry the least about is really, other than edge rushers.
Well, they have a bunch of experience there.
Yeah.
I mean, even guys like Tyrese Lottis played a little bit. Who else?
Now, were you standing there when Tibbs was asked about LaRon Stokes?
Yeah, and he said that he's a little bit further along than he thought he would be. And, I kind of asked him, is that just something was that surprising, or was that kind of what you expected from a JUCO? And he said that even for a JUCO kid, he's probably a little bit more developed than other guys. Mm-hmm. And, I think he's going to be a guy that he's going to have a chance to play next year as a rush in. And, it's kind of contingent, I think, also on when they can get Jalen Redmond back on the field. And that's been kind of an interesting situation just because there hasn't been any.
We got to ask Lincoln for an update Thursday on him.
And I almost feel like right now, are they preparing to enter 2019 without him?
He's not in shape.
I don't know. I really don't know what the answer to that is.
He's far from football shape right now.
I kind of think, on the 27th of March that you kind of have to go into next year thinking he's not going to play. And I don't want to think that because I like Jalen and I think he could have a pretty bright future.
It's just a scary deal.
You can't.
A very
it's something that,
deal.
In hindsight, they probably wouldn't have played him last year. Don't you think?
They wouldn't have tried to bring him back.
If they knew everything that they knew now.
The problem is they have to know. Like, if he comes back and has blood clot issues again, he's done. Like, you just have to say, look, I'm sorry. It's
scary.
Could be
look at a guy like
life.
Chris Bosh last night that retired from the NBA.
Yeah.
And he basically, wasn't it the same thing?
I think he had it in his legs.
So it's a little bit different.
But, it was serious. Blood clots are serious.
Yeah, you can't mess around with that kind of stuff.
My understanding is not just like, what happens is your body shuts down, your organs shut down, and then you just die. If, they can bring you back and get rid of the blood clots, but, eventually, if you've had so much trauma to your organs, the organs just start dying off if you have an episode.
Yeah, that's not...
It's scary.
Not worth playing.
It happens to older people all the time.
Not worth it. There's no doubt about that.
But outside of that, I don't know. Any other revelations that you remember from yesterday on defense from new guys?
No, not really. I think that it's just I wasn't over there when we were able to talk with Patrick Fields. Bob did most of that. I was with Justin Broyles for a while. I thought it was, I guess, good that he kind of came out and said that he's playing free safety right now because that safety position is so jumbled and you really don't know what you're going to get out of it just because
he can't be a strong safety.
They don't have any numbers back there. They don't have any guys back there. And
he said that he's finally taking nutrition seriously for the first time. And
I think
he does look bigger.
It was a little bit of a I don't know if eye-opening experience for him is the right word, because he was playing at times last year. But, I think that anybody that enters their, redshirt sophomore year or true sophomore year knows that you got to do a little bit of growing up. And I think that there's a little bit of maturing that has gone through
it's not just
Justin Broyles.
It's not just going out there and yelling at the other team.
I think everybody that knows Justin knew that he loves to talk, but probably needed to mature a little bit. And I think that last year was a little bit of a humbling experience.
But like Patrick Fields, he could be someone that really helps them. He played well when Robert Barnes got knocked out of the game against Alabama.
Sure.
But Jeremiah Cradell, all these young guys, Jaden Davis, they're
going to have an opportunity.
They're going to have a big opportunity.
What was the kind of the money quote from? It was the one that we just played. Just as far as nobody in that room right now can say they're not going to have an opportunity. They're going to have more than an opportunity to play football.
Basically, he was saying people that shouldn't be
Who wants to play?
People that should not be able to play at Oklahoma have the opportunity to play at Oklahoma right now.
And that's just kind of the reality that they faced right now. That's where they were defensively. That's why they were ranked 90th in defense right now. They're trying to get better on that side of the football.
I'm going to be interested to see if some of these guys that they recruited late come in and do something. Who's the safety, the white kid?
Oh, the Dorman kid or whatever from Dallas, or from Arlington. Physically, he's a huge dude.
Yeah, I was surprised. But
just don't really know what he's going to be able to offer on the football field.
Like the evaluated safety that you don't count on. How long has it been since that guy has emerged at OU?
Yeah,
probably been the Switzer era. It's probably converted quarterback
that
Barry Switzer brought in. Tidy Armin, yeah.
6 foot 185 though, so he kind of fits your profile as far as guys that they're looking for.
There's a big difference in being 6 foot and 5'9".
Yeah, absolutely.
You that's noticeable.
Yeah. It's something that, I'd love to talk to Josh about, just as far as, and we've talked about it on the pod before. It's not like we haven't, but their ideology and what they're doing in the secondary right now is it a 180 difference from what they were doing a year ago at this time? I would say so. You have to fit a resume or a profile right now to get an offer.
Yeah. No, there's no doubt. And actually, Grinch talked about that. I think Eric Bailey asked him about that yesterday.
Yeah,
basically saying,
good quote.
Yeah, when we came in here, we had to tell a lot of kids, no, you don't fit us, so your offer's not good here anymore.
It's a conversation that I'm sure is uncomfortable, but I'd rather, if I was a parent of a prospective student athlete, I would appreciate that they're telling you and not basically running you around and saying, oh yeah, come on. And then you're sitting there a year and a half from now wanting to transfer or enter the portal because you're never going to have a chance to play.
There was no bragging on Delarian Turner-Yale yesterday that I heard.
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't know how much he's doing right now. Was he a full go?
At the end of the season, he was, yeah.
He was? Well, I just didn't know if he was during the spring. I couldn't remember.
Yeah, unless they're holding him back just out of caution, but I don't think they have enough bodies to do that.
I think people are going to have this idea of the spring game, and it happens every year that you get this idea that it's going to be this no-holds-bar, great football game, and then the game rolls around and there's 25 guys that aren't playing or nicked up throughout the week that they say, oh, well, because the game week he could play.
They take zero chances. If you're even a little nicked up, you don't play.
Well, you just don't need to.
Yeah. The coaches aren't concerned about whether you're getting your $10 worth or not.
The coaches are 100% more worried about those 15 practices than they are the 3 hours that you're going to see them on April 13th.
They're worried about the 14 other practices more than they are the spring game.
Absolutely.
All right. Josh is not here. Bob's not here. So we'll skip the recruiting. That'll give us more to talk about as we get closer to the spring game. But it's full on, folks. I think we might even...
we are in the heart of spring football.
We're here.
We are officially
it's
in the heart.
No more spring break. No more hiding. No more hiding away CeeDee Lamb at your high school. So Tanner Mordecai can't work out with him, but you can.
Yeah, we'll have post-practice on Thursday again this week.
Yes.
So that'll be good.
And then it'll be ramped up. And I think they're even I think with the way things are going, we might even have a few more media opportunities, maybe even some more photo video opportunities.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
There's been some talk of that.
That'd be great.
All right. Well, Eddie, thanks a lot, as usual.
It was good.
I feel like I got a normal version of Eddie today.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. It was a good one.
Are you just tired? That morning show just killing you?
No, not too bad. I've been watching Tiger, though, the entire time, so. Match play.
Oh, okay.
Match play today down in Austin.
So, yeah, appreciate it. And we will be back again next week, probably with the full crew.
The only thing that is wearing me on the mornings is there's only so much bitching and complaining I can do about the Thunder.
Yeah, it's a problem.
It does suck.
It makes you hate going into work.
Yeah, it does. It's like, God damn it. Why can't these guys just play well?
The Thunder really do ruin your life if you have to
talk about them every morning.
If you're a general sports person in some form or fashion.
I think it's because there's nothing you can say. They're a very mediocre basketball team right now.
Well, it turns into it because it's Oklahoma City. It has turned into a class age race war. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, a little bit.
It is the people that grew up in the olden times when people got in other people's faces. It's the people that want Tom Izzo to be coaching Oklahoma City.
Oh, God.
It's the people that want Russell Westbrook to curse out all of his teammates. It's the people that want Russell Westbrook to curse himself out. It's the people that want Billy Donovan to be fired. It's the people that want Sam Presti to be fired. Like, everybody has the answer for this, but it's a very complicated situation. It is like, you talk about like what's going on in the NFL now with Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell and that NBA AAU attitude kind of coming into professional sports. Like, that attitude's been in the NBA for years, and you've had to deal with the prima donnas. Like, NBA, by far, I don't even think it's a question. All the prima donnas are in the NBA. Like, no one's a bigger prima donna than NBA stars.
Prima donnas, I'd call them queens.
Yeah,
or something.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't want to go UC Irvine coach on you, but
whatever is above prima donna,
drama
that's
queens
what they
or
become.
something.
Yeah,
a bunch of fake tough guys.
Yeah, but also there's a reason that things went sour between Kawhi Leonard and Greg Popovich.
Oh yeah,
because he's an old school guy.
Yeah,
even though he's super political and liberal and all that stuff. He still coaches hard.
Well, he's a hard ass.
And that's why, like, Billy Donovan, I think he wants to be a hard ass, but
I think he is a hard ass.
Sam Presti won't let him.
They're just like, all right, whatever, Billy. Shut up. We're not listening to you.
I make $30 million a year.
That's a problem. That's a problem.
All right. There's your NBA capper.
Yeah.
Thanks,
How about that?
Thanks again. We'll see you guys right back here next time on the Unofficial 40, brought to you by Choctaw Casinos and Resort on Soonerscoop.com.